The Council of the City of Long Beach, held Tuesday, February 4th, 2025 at 7 p.m. We'll have a roll call. Councilmember Bendo.
Present.
Councilmember Lester.
Present.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
Here.
Vice President Fiamara.
Here.
President Finn is absent. Let the record indicate the presence of City Manager Dan Creighton and Corporation Counsel Frank DeCranis. We'll now have a salute to the flag.
Mooney. John, you want to take us out with the pledge? All right, as Mr. Frazier said, Brendan's out today. I think we should all be thankful he's not here because I FaceTimed him earlier and he shouldn't be near anybody. He has COVID-19, unfortunately. Dan, we'll start you to take us out with the report.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out tonight. Just some small items. The annual 4-mile snowflake race in memory of Joseph Farrell took place this Saturday morning. Despite the wind and cold weather, it was well attended. Congratulations to all the participants and a special thank you to our Parks and Recreation and Police Departments staff for helping to run yet another successful event. Tomorrow night, the Long Beach Joint Veterans Organization will be honoring the Barrier Islands first responders at the first annual American Legion Law and Order Night. It will take place right here on the 6th floor of City Hall at 7 p.m. Residents are strongly encouraged to join us as we thank our outstanding police officers, firefighters, lifeguards, emergency medical technicians, and others charged with keeping us safe. This coming Sunday, February 9th, is the 25th annual Polar Bear Splash. Splash really highlights the generosity of our community and is one of the events that makes Long Beach, Long Beach. So we strongly encourage everyone to come out and participate. For more information, visit longbeachpolarbears.org. For those who are not aware, the lobby of the Long Beach Police Department is currently undergoing much-needed renovations and will be closed to the public during this time. Anyone needing services for the Traffic or Records Division should go to the 6th floor of City Hall during normal business hours. To file a police report, please call 516-431-1800, and an officer will come to your location. If you need the precinct, call that same number, and an officer will come out to you. As always, in the event of an emergency, please call 911. The city was pleased to learn last week that the governor has awarded us a $1.5 million grant to enhance the boardwalk. We anticipate these funds will be used to add a concession or two, as well as some bump-out extensions on the south side of the boardwalk for use as flex space for things like shade structures or daily vending spaces for our local artists. More about this effort and how the public can provide input will come in the months ahead. This award brings the total grants obtained this administration to over $8 million. I continue to ask staff to be extremely aggressive on grants, and we are very pleased with the results so far. So thank you to the team. Great job, everyone. On other grant-related issues, work recently commenced on the rehabilitation of Sherman Brown Park. The new playground equipment and new basketball court are among the enhancements to come there. Work is expected to be complete by Memorial Day. The city had budgeted for these upgrades, but managed to secure a grant to cover approximately half the cost. I would like to send a thank you to the county, both former legislator Denise Ford as well as current legislator Patrick Mullaney, as we received the new Zamboni for the ice arena. This has been a long time coming and is much needed. Combined with the recent renovations and the additions of both a pro shop and a snack shop, the arena is in better shape than it has been in decades. We understand additional upgrades to the Recreation Center complex are necessary and are continuing to develop plans and improvements for the rest of the areas. Lastly, I would like to note that the budget season is officially upon us. Departments heads have submitted their initial budgets to the comptroller, as well as myself, this past Friday. This is going to be another difficult exercise for our staff in balancing what is needed to move the city forward while minimizing impacts to our taxpayers. But with the year under our belts, I'm sure we'll do an excellent job, and I'm confident we'll accomplish a reasonable budget that everybody will be proud of. With that, I'll conclude the city manager's report. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Dan.
Okay, on to the calendar. Before I start the calendar, item 2 has been taken off the calendar. Item 2 has been taken off the calendar. So item number 1 is a resolution authorizing budget amendment to the capital projects fund budget.
Okay, so this first item should be routine at this point, as we have done similar items in the past for the North Shore Critical Infrastructure Project. As we received the disbursement of funds in the amount of around $1.6 million, we are seeking to move that money back into the fund account so we could use it as working capital to continue with the project. Russell and Anita are here if you have any further questions regarding this.
Anybody, council, have any comments?
No, I just always comment the same when is there any updates? When will they provide a North Shore infrastructure update? How often do they provide updates, or when can we expect another one?
Timely question, Mike.
Is this as far as the consultant giving an update at the meetings, or just an overall update for the project from Public Works?
Both?
We should do one here at a council meeting, Russell.
Sure. Yeah, we can schedule that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
In the near future.
I think everybody would love to hear about it,
Of course.
just the progress.
Mike, I think the next meeting may be big. We're going to be doing an upgrade on the sewer consolidation project, I think, at the next meeting.
Yes, the next meeting we have a sewer consolidation
So
project
we'll-
update.
We'll do one at the meeting after that.
So
if that
maybe
works
the
for you.
beginning of March, or March
All right.
sometime.
That'd be
We
great.
can have
Thank
a
you.
consultant come in to give an update.
Anybody else? Anybody from the public? On to the next one.
Item 2 has been taken off the calendar. Item 3 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to purchase fitness equipment for Long Beach Recreation Center under New York State contract.
Okay, so this is a good news story. As everybody knows, the cardio equipment breaks down at the rec quite frequently. This item is to purchase new cardio equipment as well as weight equipment from a New York State contract. Most of our cardio equipment is past useful life, significantly past useful life, with 5 pieces out as recently as last week. This equipment is funded through a CDBG grant, so there is no cost to the city. Well, no, I mean, other than tax dollars that we pay out, but a CDBG grant will cover this. And I have Joe Brand here if you have any further questions.
Any questions from the council?
Just one question. Joe, I've looked at the equipment. It's
Turn
phenomenal.
the mic on.
Hit it up.
Oh, yeah. I looked at the equipment, you know, the pictures and stuff. It's phenomenal. I did, of course, give Dan a hard time because it's the Cadillac of equipment, but, you know, like he said, we're not paying for it, so it's kind of nice. But it's all going to fit in?
Yes.
It's not a big room?
Yeah, we measured all of it. And, I mean, we still have some room in the weight room. Where
It's going to be like dining at Nagahama, sort of?
Listen, you say the Cadillac of equipment, what you have to remember is, and this is oftentimes the difficult and more expensive part, the amount of time that our equipment is used. We always have a...
Well, it's the cheapest game in town. I mean,
Yeah,
let's be
I mean,
honest.
and the equipment takes a beating. It does. And, we try to
But
buy...
that's why it's commercial equipment.
Yeah.
Now, Joe, what kind of warranty or how are we going to keep this going for the next?
Well, the first thing now, like the new Zamboni that Dan mentioned a few moments ago, and this equipment, there's a training manual and a training session that takes place with the manufacturers. So routine maintenance will certainly add to the life of the equipment, and something that we plan on doing in terms of warranties. The big ones are the cardio equipment. Most of the frame 3 years, parts 3 years, labor 1 year. A couple of the other ones, frame 10 years, parts 3 years, labor 1 year. But they're all in that 10 years, 5 years, 3 years, 1 year for most of the equipment.
Any way to extend that? Because 1 year is not, in a commercial setting. 1
Labor,
year-
I don't think there's a company around that'll do a warranty.
Well, we had a maintenance contract on the other ones.
Right, and then the other part is we've finally found somebody who knows how to work on equipment that's been fair with us. We kind of used him as a neutral third party when we received the equipment. He looked at all of it, made recommendations to switch out elliptical machines for another machine, which we did. So if he's the one that's going to be doing a lot of the work on them in the future when they start to show wear, tear, and age. I think at least he's comfortable with the equipment we're purchasing now.
Then we have to keep him, right?
Yes, indeed.
Just
Be nice to that guy.
one quick question. Are we keeping, is this all the old equipment getting swapped out, or are we keeping?
No, whatever we can salvage, of course, we're going to salvage.
So we may wind up with actually with more machines
Yep.
when this
Yeah.
is done than we have now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the thing of it is, and Dan can give you verse, line, and chapter. The equipment that's there now was like right after Sandy equipment. Treadmills are not supposed to last that long. They have, but they get to a usable lifespan where now to put more money into them, even the guy that works on it says it's just not worth it. So the timing of this couldn't have been any better. And lead time, I'm going to say probably 4 to 6 weeks. We get it done tonight. It'll be moving tomorrow.
And the reality is some of the older real bad equipment probably will only be able to be used for parts, right, Joe?
Mhm.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, we'll scavenge anything we can. And there's a couple of weight room components that we're adding. That'll be, new amenities that are definitely needed in the weight room as well. So I think the customers will be happy, and we left a little wiggle room in case they're not. We got to get something else. So.
Anybody else? Comment from the public? Okay, go on to the next one.
Item 4 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement for the professional engineering services for the City Hall building facade rehabilitation with the most responsible proposer.
Okay, so this item is for the facade rehabilitation, design and construction services for City Hall. As anyone who has spent any time in the City Hall knows, the facade is in extreme disrepair, and the windows leak air conditioning in the summer, heat in the winter, and in fact, if you've ever seen it during a storm, water leaks in the windows, and there's typically towels or rags placed on the windowsills to prevent water from coming in and damaging the windowsills. Although it's for $129,000, we're only committing to $51,000 of that right now for the design report, plans, and estimate. The rest will be only if we award the construction contract. If you have any further questions, I have Russell here to answer anything you may have.
Anybody?
Yeah. Russell,
Right, good person.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Russell, on this is just for the plans and stuff.
And the technical report and of some testing of the existing facade to see what the structure is like behind the bricks.
Do we have an idea what they're going to find, what they're going to, I mean, is it one of those things that we might have a multi-million-dollar cost, or, if it's just facade, there's a limit to it? I'm just trying to get an idea.
Right, so a few years ago, back in 2020, we had some other testing done on the facade, and it was found that the lintels are not in great shape. There's there's no air barrier, there's no insulation. It's the building was built in 1950s, so it's going to be a substantial rehab of the facade. This project includes some additional testing just to confirm that, and the scope will be included in the designer's report.
So what can we expect, roughly?
Are you saying like an estimate on the cost?
Yeah.
Multi-million dollars to renovate the facade.
It
What
will-
do you say?
It will be in the millions.
It'll be in the millions. Yeah, it's not
I
going to
would,
be.
I would expect all the windows would have to be replaced. Well, windows, they're facade windows, so they're structural, so you'd probably have to remove,
And custom made.
yeah, all of the structural components of the windows from top to bottom floor on both the north and south side of the building.
Essentially, we'll be
fairly
constructing a
substantial.
brand new building envelope.
John, you
Real
want
quick, we pumped a lot of money a few years ago into the facade work. Was that more just keeping the place from falling down?
Essentially, yes. That work was to repair some bricks that were popping on I believe, the east facade, and that was essentially just a
Because
Band-Aid.
didn't they replace some of the lintels then, too?
Correct. The ones that were the worst.
Yeah, okay, so this is just part two then? in
Correct.
effect, On steroids.
Right.
So if I could, Russell, I know in other saltwater environments, especially Florida, which just mandated 30 and 40-year inspections on their buildings since that Surfside collapse a few years ago. I know they do like an electronic X-ray, like almost on the building. Are you
Yes.
familiar with what I'm talking about? You can
Yes.
see the steel underneath. With this type of environment, we anticipate something like that, where they're going to have to do steel structural,
Yes, they
rehab?
will. Actually, the consultants proposed stainless steel lintels as opposed to standard galvanized steel, or to protect against assault environment.
Got it.
Multi-millions.
Yeah. Anybody else from the council? You're right. Comments from the public? Mrs. Hessian?
Hi, Eileen Hessian.
Hello.
Is it on? Yeah.
Yeah.
In the past, we've talked about not replacing, but moving City Hall.
Yeah.
It's been mentioned to go over to Stop and Shop and different places. So now, are we guaranteeing that we're not going to do that?
No,
No.
we actually just talked, all of us just anonymously agreed on and talked about that for quite some time. I think that was most of our pre-meeting was talking about options for this building, because this building, it was built in the 50s when file cabinets and
60s.
space. What's that?
So was I.
1964.
Yeah, 64. Sorry. When file cabinets in space were essential, and I mean, now with computer age and stuff, we just don't need. We think that we can do a better building in a better place that could be a public safety building, house, fire, police, court, and every other thing in it. But it's something
just don't
we're
wanna
definitely
see-
exploring.
Spending this $100,000 and then saying, well, we're going to move into Stop and Shop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I
I
guess you're
agree.
thinking the same thing.
We'd make sure whatever developer bought this building would pay that $100,000.
So even if we were to develop a new city hall, it would take years to get in there. So we'd have to get some sort of repairs done to this building even in the meantime. To
So
get it up to
Eileen, if
speed.
you go to any of the administrative offices in this building, there's actual rags, towels on the bottom of everybody's windows for both air and moisture and rain.
Oh,
and
yeah.
everything
I
else.
mean, I get it.
Yeah. So I agree with you. Yeah, if anything we do, I think we're all in agreement here with that.
The other thing, too, is that if they decide that it's, a $10 million, whatever $1 million project, where are we going to get it?
The developer that buys the building to move
I mean,
it.
where are we going to get the money?
The developer. So if we were to sell this building and move it, right, which is right now, maybe a pipe dream, we don't know, but if we were to work out something with Stop and Shop and whatnot, the main goal of this administration, I say it's administration, everybody up here, would not to have any taxpayer dollars or borrowing with it and use the asset that's here, because no matter how much of a piece of garbage this building is at this point, the land is worth a lot of money, so.
True.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Anybody else from the public? We'll close that out.
Item 5 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to purchase a Lucas chest compression system under Savick Buying Group contract.
So this item is to approve a purchase of a Lucas chest compression system with 3-year maintenance contract from Stryker through a Savick Buying Group contract. This is a mechanical CPR device that provides more consistent depth and compression rates than can be delivered manually by a fireman. It also helps limit responder fatigue. It will be used on the career ambulance, and CDBG funding is also available for this purchase. I have Joe Miller here if you have any further questions.
Anything from the council?
Just, Joe, after the 3-year contract, maintenance contract, do we keep the maintenance contract at the same rate?
That I can't say exactly what the rate would be at that time.
But we need a maintenance,
We'll keep the maintenance contract.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
but we're not getting a special deal for the first 3 years or something where they come back and hit us?
No, that would be nice, but no.
No, I just don't want to be hit, because at that point, you have the machine, you have no choice, and they're the only people that can give a maintenance contract.
Joe, I was on the website. It's an impressive machine. it's going to keep residents safer.
Correct. It allows us to do the chest compression, then the person that would normally be doing it, to utilize doing other things for the patient.
Joe, if I may, to extend from Roy's point, is there any other departments we can look at that have had it past the 3-year point and see what they're paying now?
Sure.
Not that it would matter for this vote, it's just out of curiosity and for budgeting.
Like, a lot of departments have that.
Yeah,
So we can look into that. See
Okay.
exactly what they're doing, how they've been doing it.
all right, thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Anybody, council? Good, anything else? Anything from the public? Any comments? All right, close her out.
Item 6 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an intermunicipal cooperation agreement with the County of Nassau to receive funding for the purchase of new radios and related items.
Okay, so this item is to allow us to enter into an IMA with Nassau County to purchase new radios for the auxiliary police, replacing older equipment. Thank you to our county legislator, Pat Mullaney, for his support in getting this grant. I have Commissioner DePalma here if you have any further questions regarding this grant and IMA.
Anything from the council?
I just stand that this is the only cost we have. We don't have any other cost.
Rich, do we have any further costs, like related to maintenance of these radios, et cetera?
Our quote would be for about $14.5, so this will cover over 2/3 of the cost of the radios.
Oh, so, okay.
And I have the money budgeted already.
Yeah, no, I just wasn't sure if it was only 10.5. And is the lieutenant happy?
Anna, you happy? The captain?
Captain, not lieutenant,
Oh, Captain.
He demoted you.
I didn't hear a yes, though.
Are you happy?
She's happy.
All right. Anybody else? John? Public? Any comments from the public? Anna? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. DePalma.
Okay.
Close it out.
Item 7 is a resolution authorizing publication for hearing of a local law amending the charter of the City of Long Beach regarding financial and ethical disclosure. This item is for publication only. A hearing will be held February 18th at 7 p.m. And finally, item 8 is a resolution authorizing publication for hearing of an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Long Beach regarding Appendix A zoning. This item is for publication only. A hearing on this item will be scheduled for March 4th at 7 p.m. On to the voting.
Yeah, right. I would. Could we?
Do I have a motion to block vote?
Yeah. I'll second that, yeah.
Okay, we have a motion to block vote the agenda and to move the items, correct?
Yes. Correct.
Okay. Block vote. Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
Yes.
Vice President Fiamora.
Yes.
Okay, the block passes, all items pass. Who'll make a motion to close the meeting?
I will.
I'll second.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
Yes.
Vice President Fiamora.
Yes.
Okay, on to good and welfare.
It's going to be expensive.
We are talking Jimmy Hayes? We want to give that to Dan.
Don Perignon, champagne.
Listen, we know how much he makes, so we know we can afford.
Thank you, sir. I apologize ahead of time if I mispronounce anybody's name. Danielle DiPaolo?
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good morning. Good
I
evening.
have sent each of you,
Just put your,
Sure.
get the mic
Oh,
closer,
on?
they
Okay.
can't hear you. There you go.
good evening,
Thank
gentlemen. I have sent most of you on the council an email, so I am not a bot. So you've gotten that email that 3 of you have answered back. What I do want to mention is the concern of building 643 of Shore Road. It's been a blight on the community, and the concern of having why the buildings department has never inspected this building with numerous complaints, inoperable appliances, mold, roaches, mice, exterior conditions with 0 improvements? Why is there 0 exterior lighting on this building with sex offenders that live there? There's a large percentage of the sex offenders of the population within Long Beach at this residing building. The landlord recruiting these sex offenders to live at this address. We'd like to know how he's finding these as his tenants and who else might be involved in helping him recruit them. There's 5 sex offenders in the city of Long Beach, and a lot of them are living there. So there's been a concern with a lot of the people that are living on Shore Road. So I wanted to come here for you to see that I'm a real person and that my email is with concern. And the concern also is Musta Shorkran is the owner of that building. And he has 8 companies, according to public records. 100 Tennessee Avenue Corp., Sun USA Construction, Inc., Sun America Properties, Inc., Punnett and Bay Corp., 118 East Chester Street Corp., Riverside Beach Condominium Corp., Long Beach Real Property Management, Inc. He owns Riverside Beach Condos. He owns White Sands Condos. He has multiple residential homes that are for sale, as well as rents homes and rents apartments in the mentioned before. So there's a lot of concern, and several people, including myself that live on Shore Road, have a heightened concern for this, especially that building that was mentioned.
Thank you. Well,
And thank
certainly
you-
concerning.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you for actually, showing up. But certainly, the sex offender in the building concern is, Mr. Shorkran being a landowner is certainly not concerning, but
Hear from Richie?
I'm gonna call him Rich. I just want to, whoever feels they're best suited to answer this. Phil, I guess you're in line now, so you're most familiar with it. Up here. Yeah.
Hello?
Yep.
Commissioner DePalma will talk about the sex offenders, but as far as the building itself goes, it is a Section 8 building. I was talking to the building department today. They've issued 7 violations in the last several years. 8? 8. And recently one in regards to the a broken sidewalk. So they're required to check that, the building department, once a month because it's Section 8, and they do. So it is under scrutiny, it is being watched, and it is being inspected very regularly. As far as the sexual offenders there, I'll pass it on to Commissioner DePalma.
As far as the building department, this is nothing new for that building, and I can attest to it. As the building commissioner, I grew up on that block. I grew up right across the street from that property, and it's been that way since I was a kid, 4 years old. It's always been Section 8. It's always been, doesn't look nice compared to the other buildings, but unfortunately, we do issue violations, and the landlords do make the necessary repairs to squeak by. We're on top of them, like Mr. Ragona said. We do the Section 8 inspections there. Sometimes we're in there more than once a month, and the apartments, some fail and they have to make repairs, some pass, but it's an ongoing thing. But this is nothing new. This was like this before the present owners have bought it and owned it. That building's been like that for my 50-some odd years in Long Beach.
Just
Thank you.
then a quick question. If the owner is just squeaking by on these inspections, do we need to beef up the building codes to make them more robust so there's a higher standard?
Unfortunately, for the most part, we're bound by the state of New York Property Maintenance Code. If we want to do anything more stringent than New York State, we have to then get the New York State legislature to approve it. So, I mean, it doesn't mean we can't, but typically the Property Maintenance Code does cover everything, but it being pretty.
So legally, you can avoid the dump.
Regarding the sex offenders, there are 2 sex offenders at that location. Formerly, the law used to, they were in the laws, the sex offender laws, they were able to legislate where sex offenders could live. That has since been changed. Now, once somebody has paid their debt to society, they can no longer be legislated where they can live. But when they're on probation or parole, the probation department or the parole department can restrict where these persons live. So the two persons at that residence right now are not on probation or parole, and we have no control on where they can live.
Thank you, Mr. Palmer. Thank you, everybody, for participating. And I'm glad that we're aware of the situation, and I imagine that we'll continue to further look into it. That's still the first one. This Linda Giles. Linda Giles.
Good evening, Linda Giles, Long Beach. First, I'd like to thank you for keeping the lights on in the plaza. I hope that will stay there. I don't know, but it was requested and it's still on. Looks beautiful, yes. Secondly, this grant that we got for the boardwalk, will we get to see the plans and what they want to do to the boardwalk?
We don't have it set yet. We put in a proposal with the state for what some ideas were, some general ideas, but we have not confirmed what we're going to do yet. So
All right.
when we are ready, we'll have some public interaction.
All right, because this is also a match grant, is that
Yes.
correct?
Correct.
So that means we'll be spending over $1 million,
Yes.
according to what they want to do. And I have a thing about match grants, and I'm just wondering if any of this work can be done in-house. I'm talking about shade shelters and things of that nature, and some of the things I heard they want to do we really need them? But if we're going to be able to discuss this, I would really appreciate it and get more input from the community.
Yeah, of course.
Yep.
Okay, and there was one other thing. The 200 block and the 300 block of East Pine Street, is it still scheduled to be redone? I know when Mr. Fabrizio was here, those were 2 of the streets that he was going to do. And I'm just wondering if that's still on the planning board, because the streets it's like a roller coaster when you go down that street.
Russell, you have the schedule for that?
Yeah, so we're putting together the RFP to go out. We plan to go out within the next couple of months, and then the design should commence by the end of the year.
Okay. All right, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Nora Egan? Pass. James Hodge? You know that guy?
James Hodge, 95 East Fulton Street, here in our great city, praying that Finn feels better. And you said he's out sick, right?
Yeah, he's got COVID-19.
All right, praying that he feels better and do some holistic stuff to get his immune system built back up and he comes back. Always praying for all of our city council members and our leaders.
We need it.
Absolutely. And our city, and also praying for the families of those that were in those plane crashes. Just wanted to thank the city for posting about Black History Month. Everyone's history is important, and it is good that we continue to celebrate everyone's history. I wear the jacket that I was given by a Tuskegee Airman who I brought to Long Beach. He was actually, when I was the president of the Long Beach Martin Luther King Center Board of Directors, he was our Grand Marshal. We celebrated him and others, and we thank God for all of their history and all that they've done for our country. And if anybody don't know about the Tuskegee Airmen and the Red Tails, I would say look at the movie, Red Tails. You will enjoy it. And again, I thank God for their history and Julius Friedman, his legacy in life, and all of them live on. Also, as I, just mentioned the MLK. I don't speak for the MLK. I'm not a board member. As a taxpayer and as a concerned citizen and former board member, I just want to ask, where are we with the lease with the MLK? Did my time stop?
We are in the final bits of it. We were going to have it on the agenda tonight, but we'll go on most likely the next one. So waiting just for signatures.
Okay. Well, I hope that it is what the community would agree to. I know we had spoke about getting together months ago. We never got an opportunity to do that. I don't know if you was instructed different, but again, I was I've been a part of this community for my whole life, and a part of that board, and a part of again, so much that have happened there. So I don't know if you were directed not to have me involved or not, but I'm always here to support that organization and the work that goes on in the community. So again, just wanted to make sure I stand and speak and see where we are with the city continuing not just to post that we celebrate Black history, but understand that we still have history here, and to treat our history with as delicate as it is. And the Martin Luther King Center and the work that they do is historic, and I continue to support them, and I pray that all of our city leaders continue to support them in the work they do. And I do want to add that they should have never been in the place that they are in eviction court. So thank you for working this out.
Thank you. Eileen Hession, you
Hi, Eileen Hession. This has been asked before, and maybe it's been answered at a meeting that I missed. Newsday recently had an article about the state parks on Long Island doing the best they've done in years. They've set records of people attending. So my question is, I know it has already been stated that our beach park made a positive amount of money this year, and I'm wondering if we have that number, and also how much the city's boardwalk fair made.
I don't have the boardwalk fair numbers with me. I'm not sure if Ina does, but I could say that I wouldn't say that the beach made money. I would say that we brought in more income this year than we have in the past. We brought in significantly more, about 12% more than we usually bring in.
But it's still negative, you mean?
Still negative when you compare all the labor, all the materials, everything that we spend on the beach. We're still negative. We are looking at ways to increase that this year, whether it's different ways to address people coming onto the beach to make sure that they're paying, different ways to enforce payment, et cetera. But we are looking at how to make it even more efficient this year, significantly.
And the boardwalk fair was a success? I mean, it was very
All
busy.
three of them were very, very well received. I believe the Historical Society did very well, as well as the Chamber of Commerce, and ours was pretty successful.
Yeah.
I don't have the numbers with me, but I think they were all very well received.
I know the Historical Society did very well, and I think yours was bigger, so I hope you did even more than that. And where does that money go? Like into a general fund or what?
I believe it goes to the general fund. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Eileen. Tim Kramer.
We got a new lineup here tonight, huh? I like it. Tim Kramer, 361 East Broadway. I would like to talk about the Gumowitz and Horowitz situation. I'll start with Gumowitz. Just to give everyone a little background for those who don't know what we're talking about. In the mid-1980s, the city of Long Beach signed a 100-year lease with Mr. Gumowitz. The city of Long Beach is the owner of the property, the Stop and Shop shopping center. Mr. Gumowitz is the leaseholder, and it has been my argument that this property has had a negative impact on this community, financial impact on this community. And what should be really the crown jewel of this community, it is far from that. This property isn't out of town, 5 miles down by the rock quarry. It's at the center of our community, and it affects everybody that visits this community, lives in this community, and all the surrounding small businesses are adversely affected by this property. So I'll put that to the side. I want to go to the Haberman. Again, to give everybody a little bit of background, Mr. Haberman is a prominent real estate developer in the city, and he was issued a variance. Just to sum it all up, issued a variance. City drug him through the mud for years, for absolutely years, drug this guy through the mud, to a point where Mr. Haberman was forced to sue the city, and because of that lawsuit, and we treating this man poorly, Mr. Haberman won the lawsuit. The original settlement was, the lawsuit was for $150 million. It got settled at 75. And Mr. Kaminsky was able to secure a bond for $75 million. And it was shortly thereafter that bond that was secured by Mr. Kaminsky that our credit rating went through the ceiling. Okay, so essentially, Mr. Haberman, the purpose of the lawsuit was to damage and punish the city. The result of the lawsuit was it got dumped onto the taxpayer. The $75 million got dumped onto the taxpayer. In fact, my escrow account with my bank, they list this as other. You have the city tax, school tax, Nassau County tax, they list it as other. And if you go back and calculate it, it's roughly 15% of what you pay in your city tax. So if your city, whatever your city tax is, it's 15% for the next 28 years. And the reason why I bring these two things up is I believe that, I'm just a couple more minutes. I don't ask for a whole lot of extra time ever, if that's okay. So the reason why I bring these two things up is that I believe that these two things are an anchor on the residents and the small businesses and most importantly the taxpayers of this community. And we got rung up for both things through actions of the city, but we never had a seat at the table. And I would like to put a coalition together of 3 or 4 different people who live in the city, along with 1 or 2 councilmen. I would ask that Chris and Michael, either one of you, or better yet both, join this coalition. I would like to sit down with these 2 people and explain to them how these are affecting the community. And this, with the Gumowitz thing, it's another 60 years. I mean, think about where you're going to be in 60 years, right? Think about where you're going to be in 28 years after the Haberman is completed. We never got a seat at the table. I would like to have a seat at the table and sit down with these people and explain to them how this is adversely affecting this community for many, many, many years. Thank you.
And Tim, I would say the planning board is going to help immensely with this.
Yeah.
I agree with everything you were saying. The planning board is the first step.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons I ran was this type of stuff. But I mean, if you want to put together a coalition, I'd love to hear it out, and any help I can give with it, or I think anybody up here, any help they can offer, they would definitely offer. So, Christina Kramer, you guys could have came up together.
Hello, Christina Kramer, 361 East Broadway. So I just want to give you an update about the bus station in Island Park. I'm not sure where I left off the last time here. But first I want to tell you that I'm going to give you this paper here. This was in the New York State Public Service Commission hearing. It's public record. It's by Richard Ellenbogen, who's he's got a master's degree in electrical engineering, and Roger Ciazza, who's written 500 articles on the net zero transition. It's a great article, and I hope that you guys read it. I just printed it out and I highlighted stuff for you guys. And then I also want to put this into the record when I'm finished. So we went, a bunch of us women, you know, from the Protect Our Coast group have been going to the Hempstead meetings. So that's why we haven't been here a lot, because the Island Park area on 4200 Industrial Place is slated for a best by a company called Rhineland. We went to the Hempstead council meeting and asked the council if we could get a moratorium in place, and they all acted like they didn't know what we were talking about. And they also said we didn't need a moratorium because nothing's going on. And then afterwards we stayed after and asked the attorney, I think his name is Muscarella, you know, what can we do about a moratorium? And he dismissed us the last meeting before today, actually, blew us off. And then we foiled and did our private investigating, and we found out that on December 14th of 2024, they actually, every council member signed a permit for Rhineland to actually put this BESS on 4200 Industrial Place. Now, again, I don't know what you guys know about it. I report every meeting. Moss Landing in California had a huge battery energy storage system fire. They had to evacuate 12 miles, not because of the fire, but because of the toxic fumes and all of the metals coming out of there. They only had 1,200 people to evacuate because it's a rural area. But I did the numbers here, and I did the whole radius thing. And if we were to have to evacuate, first of all, from that area, 4200 Industrial Place, 0.7 miles is Lincoln Orange Middle School, Long Beach High School 1.8, Long Beach Middle School 1.8, 1.5 to East Elementary School. If we only evacuated 1 mile from there, we would have to evacuate 10,000 people. If we evacuated 2 miles from there, we'd have 46,500 people to evacuate. So why I'm always here, again, you guys are all our front lines. We need you to be speaking up for us. You're our council people. We need you to talk to Patrick, to Ari, to Patricia, and we need help from you. It's not really fair that us residents are the one who are taking the reins on this. You guys are elected, and we need your help. Thank you.
Thank you.
Here you go. Christina, just real quick. Today, Dan and I returned. We went to the New York Conference of Mayors meeting, and I attended their energy committee and spoke to their lobbyist who lobbies up in Albany on behalf of municipalities. And one of the issues that came up was the BESS fires happening around. A lot of municipalities were basically saying all you can do is stand there and watch them. You dump water on them and they just keep burning. I raised the issue with them, asked them if they had come out with a position on behalf of the municipalities. They have not, so I'm going to prod them on that.
To the water?
No, to the
yeah, no, I'm just saying, when you put water on them, they'll contaminate all our estuaries.
Exactly. That's what it talked about, that the water is then contaminated.
Yeah.
And then the particulates and other things. So I'm going to be prodding them on if they're going to develop a position on that, as well as Rapid. Rapid came up as well.
Rapid's
and
PCLA.
we're going to prod them on because they hadn't taken a position on Rapid yet.
And as a nuclear person, you should know that's the way to go. And Doreen Harris, the head of the Energy Department, she voted against them in her community. So there you go.
Not to mention the significant damage that salt water does to battery farms.
Well, they don't mix, yeah. And when the hydrogen fluoride gets into the air, it turns to hypochloric acid from the moisture, and if it hits the sand, it also turns into a gas. It's horrible.
Thank you, Christina. That concludes our meeting tonight. If everybody get home safe, and thank you for coming out.
Now, you reclaimed, what, 8 minutes, right? Right, so you reclaimed